Salway. Greetings. This book, Georgo Ornio de Onibus Americanis Libre Quator, the fourth book of the Origin of the Americans, by George Horn. This book was written in 1652, and we got a lot of people just before people were really speaking English like that, right? And people will be translating this book for a long time to trump the Columbus story of discovery of America. This book have like a bunch of stories of different events that they look at as evidence of pre-Columbian presence of different peoples on different sides of the world. And they collect a lot of different stuff. We're going to get into one particular part. It's in Latin, so we ain't going to do no reading. I'm just going to point it out what it's saying in this particular chapter. It's a good source of information. We're dealing with 1652, right? Allegedly. We're dealing with Aztlan, which is Montezuma Kingdom, right? And they connect and they using languages. So they say Kappa and Ruka is a name, a Turkish type name. Barkiarukus, Kas, and Kapi Agas, which means a head, I would say governor for Agas. And we find that in the Turkish and in the Asiatic Tartarian side of things. I'm going to show you how it connects. And we got Gazun from a Mekoakan king. From a Mekoakan kings, they use the name Gazun, which they say is a Tartary name, right? And it's Gui Palka. We got from the brother of Atalupa, Ata, and we see the Ata on that is similar to Aga, which is a Moorish title. They will call it Turkish just so we can really look at we can call it Ottoman. We look at how advanced this Moorish Empire been and how far stretched it been. We're dealing with America, the Mayans. A Kappa was an Inca who ruled the Mayans. And they use the word like Gan, which is, we get into Gwen, and we get into Guinea and Ghana, and those type of words that's all dealing with ancient Canaanite. You can connect all that, right? But even the word mango, they connected. What I want to get to was Aladarius, Almus. You connect them with the Arabic. See how they got Al. They saying that these people using these same things. Like, shit crazy. We got Al Buger, the son of Kinguis. You see, Ali Tip, Al Queen Tip, Queen Tip, Al Queen Beck, and Beck is Bay, or Beg, or Buy, or Bailey, or Bailiff. You know, we're dealing with a lot of time and a lot of place. They even showing the Hunnish Empire, how it connects. Let's go to decimal. Alkenbeg. That word beg, that's big. Alright, see. Where the Turkish beg was denoted, first denoted. Agu Rex, Agu Hana Bal, like Hannibal. And you got Balember, Bal Doret, Baal Dorek. Those Canaanite gods, the god Canaanite Baal. And we got the Peruvian Paulo. They say which is not a Latin from the Latin Paulus, but from the Hunnic Baal. This is why I just translating it as we go. They're dealing with Scythia, which is Tartary. Got the King Paulo. And we got Bella, which is another form. Biala. And we got Elizabeth. Like I said, your grandma named Eliza Beth. Or Bai. Dealing with the English, the Anglo-Saxon queen. The origin of Attila, you see. They say he caused terror. But you're dealing with these, you're dealing with the Khanates. We're dealing with that part of the shit. And we can talk a little bit about the Khanates too. Y'all is a Moorish American history, the vast history. We got Beg and Bassa. And we got Bassa, that's another West African so-called thing. They call it a Turkish title, of course. And New Spain, New France, which is North America. Huge area of North America. We got Bessabez. So he connected all these through language. And Papian, Calambas, Brazilian, Cognac-Bec, the Yucatan, the Gomeras, dealing with the Berbers, the Alquimbec, and they're dealing with the Tartaros, the Turks, and the Mexicans. And they say even in the German, we got Asterline, Axine, Kasine, Rostein, Alwine, Wallan, Seabine, East Mix, Tiline, and the Gomara, the Berbers of the West, and the Canaries, Mexican, Norman. So they connected the Mexican names to this, their names connected to something. We got Aztlan, the ancient Mexican country name, Turkish name, with Atlan Beg, you see? Somewhere around, I don't know what date, that's the old ass date. Caracini, Anatolia, Perinkesubi, Deco, Leon Claudius. Let's go to the next page and see what else they're talking. And see how they're connecting it with Kam, which is Ham. Khan and Kam. The Khanates and the Hamites, Hamitites. And showing us, because we're going to look at some names laid out for people who signed the Treaty of Tripoli. You can look at their names and show how it's on this side of the world. And they going into Mexico and Montezuma and these different titles that they hold. Hell. Genghis Khan. And we know the Khanates had different waves of Khanates that came to America in different times. 1300s and, Okay. And they talk about the Punic Wars, how Hanno and different Carthaginians had evidence of them coming some way unknown to the rest of the world on that side. Moors. Just talking about the Moors. We would get into this from Lisbon, Portugal. Used to always come to Portugal, all kind of shit like pumpkins and corn and stuff like that. We can show you how a treaty is in play already during these times between Moors from different parts of the world and the martyrs, which is the ancients, and the moderns are the people today who call themselves the different nationalities, and they inherit the same trade system. The only reason why you can't benefit of it because you ain't being who the actual law require you to be. Basically, wherever the papers say it is, you can't connect yourself to that if you something else. This goes without saying. See, we're talking about general agreements on tariff and trade. These organizations, they got militaries, and nobody plays with them. No country. You go by these rules. All these rules is connected to treaties, old treaties, and the people of the world lose touch on how to deal with this over time. You understand, we had world wars in between the times I'm talking and now. We're dealing with most favorite nations. Just about every nation in the world is listed as a most favorite nation to the South, and quote unquote. All is connected to old treaties, old empire, international trade, the status and level of treatment accorded by one state to another, and international trade based off what a treaty said. So the United States would be a most favored nation according to the Morocco, and we know that's ambiguous. So they're most favorite nation in law to you if you're a Moorish American. Listen, let's read it. The divine right of kings, political and religious doctrine of legitimacy of monarchs. So that's what we're talking about. Claims based off divine right. The right of conquest. We're dealing with the right of conquest. The right of conquest says it's a legitimate right of ownership to land based off force of arms and international law. We need to read these. This is something to keep in mind as we go through. And that's the book that we've been reading from earlier. It's an idea of divine rights, conquest, and what brings us to the day. Everything has its origin, so there we go. And these friars always look like mulattoes, so-called mulattoes from Italy, or Venice. Pay attention to that too. They should deeper. We have some inquisitionist depictions of what's going on. Both of these sides had treaties and relations with each other long before this depiction. And that's Peru. The Begs, Basas. what you were talking about earlier. And we can see the whole idea of the Tartarian side and the barbarian, quote unquote. And that's what America, because this stuff since at least the 1300s on through. That book we've been talking the 1500s. That's how America, this pre, Robert Raleigh, and we gonna show how he had this in mind for you to get back to governing yourself properly. It's all science and it's already been done by you for a long time. Or you'll see that through treaty relations. And this so-called England. A lot of ambiguous terms in here, but maybe the National Archives of the UK. Show you with dealings. It don't matter where you go, you're gonna find dealings with these people. We call them Moors. In English, they definitely gonna use the term as M-O-O-R. In America, the term Amaru will be an equivalent. On this website, you can go look at all the treaties between Britain, the English and the Moors. Great Britain and Morocco, words like Fez, that means divine right or peace. And the Saleh we're dealing with. Any English or non-English, essentially peoples in the world, these treaties is protections as it comes to commercial relations to keep peace during trade. And the whole world system is set up on it. But we don't operate under it as a mass and people because we don't understand it. The protections and stuff. And we ain't being who the treaties protect, essentially, in the law. Some more. It's the website. Let's go look at some of them. And we're gonna do how with the United States. It's always been, they always going against Moors. It's always a war between the ancient and the moderns. That's a good way to look at it. Use the so-called Cold War to cover the real history of this. And what happened down here that we ain't even really paying no attention to during the 70s, 80s, 50s, 60s, dealing with the Civil Rights era. Probably go look at my last videos. You gotta remember the Kingdom of Fez split up between Spain and Portugal through divine right of conquest and discovery. The United States understood that and they went and practically got it back for us because the United States owes us. We just ain't in our proper position. But thank you. Even though it's some sad shit what they did to the people of the Moors, the Moorish Americans. Everything will come to head at the end of the day. And that's for you. This conquest is the ultimate reparations that due to the people on the side of Moorish descent. Grenada, South America, Moorish Americans. We only can guess what the United States going to do while we were sleeping in the 80s and 90s. Look how they dress, like how we dress and everything. In the 90s and shit, right? Saying Africa is Grenada, Island, South Grenada, Caribbean. We're dealing with treaties. I don't even remember why I put this picture in there. And we know Cuba. That's why they say, your country, if you own your country, your militaries and everything's still intact, and ain't nobody stopping you from being a general, the commander in chiefs. But who you pledge your allegiance to is gonna be what you know. Beile. A Beile is a chief or a lord or a prince, just like a Bey. But this Ming, to show how widespread these ancient Canaanite aspects of this. And Basie, it's a different Asian version, normally reserved for imperials. Dealing with trade, you gotta be able to have peace when you want to just buy and sell. So treaties come in effect in South Carolina. They can tell you now that you were working for all kind of other people and this and that, but what else do you have when you had your own stuff? You already knew you had your own because everybody, African American allegedly, got stories of their families who got land out somewhere. Oh yeah, we own land and this and that. So where are that stories at? We gonna get them. It's the idea of how color and the certain ambiguous terms written in history may have us believe certain preconceived notions of things, right? Miscegenation was not limited to white male and black female relationships, like the world will make you think that the European, so-called British subject males been raping the African dark-skinned female. That's what your children's supposed to know, right? We already done put a D in there in the first sentence. Gideon Gibson, a free so-called black carpenter from Virginia, moved to South Carolina and settled on the Santee River. He owned 7 slaves and had a so-called white wife. In the 1760s, he was one of the acknowledged leaders of the regulator movement when some legislators tried to make him subject to the colony's Negro laws. See that in South Carolina. His supporters pointed out that he was whiter, they're talking about my man, because they ain't dealing with actual skin complexion, dealing with law, than any Huguenot which descended, which were Moors, amalgamated and just, different complexions. We deal with the south of France in the 15, 14, 1600s expulsion of these southern France so-called Africans or Moors. You gotta know southern France is like a rowboat away from North Africa. So you're gonna know, you should know a lot of Moorish aspects gonna be in that alone. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Moorish Americans in the South want to find a lot of this information and they look in their own histories. So in the assembly, so he been so-called whiter than the not the senators in the assembly, including the speaker Peter Manigault, one of the richest so-called colonials. Henry Lawrence, governor, defended Gibson. See, Henry Lawrence defended Gibson and noted that his children, having passed through another stage of whitewash, were of fairer complexion than their prosecutors. Gabriel Powell, George, who prosecuting, he darker than. See what I'm saying? So these Huguenot descendants, these people so-called we call black people, they trying to prosecute this man for Negro laws because they dealing with South Carolina. They dealing with, like, that's how we gonna run our little kingdom. We ain't want no people who ain't got no nationalities, which will make you a Negro, blank or black. The free white person at this time and people with nationalities of the Holy Roman Empire is essentially. So they ain't much been dealing with color. They've been dealing with color and not dealing with color because they've been taking these people as, okay, well, we know most of these people in this time in South Carolina are so-called black people as it is today, the majority by population. And the government of South Carolina, you got the South Carolina Black Caucus, who there's dozens of them who got positions in the government. If you look at the history of South Carolina, I can't ever really find a time when any more was in this government. Regardless of how they operating in it, that's what we gotta keep in mind. What's going on is, and the backcountry liaison between white woman and black man was not unknown. Regardless of the gender of the partners, interracial relationship produced children, and increase in the number of clergy in the backcountry seemed to have, clergy, Christian, to have had no impact on the population. They are more bastard, more mulattoes born than before. So in South Carolina, in Virginia, in New Orleans, in Louisiana, whatever, we had these things called amalgamation balls. We used to amalgamate freely. It got nothing to do with the so-called slave thing, whatever. We got balls, people dressing up, getting ready to go out and meet somebody of the so-called other race. We had both genders on both sides of the fence. You can go look those up, amalgamation balls. We ain't got no evidence of that in this slide, but let's continue. All right. Some South Carolina. The children, Marcia, James, Florence, Abraham Taylor, a mulatto, so-called mulatto Taylor, married Isabella, an Indian woman. Joseph DeReef, an Indian wood dealer, married Mary, a mulatto woman. And these right here, like right now, this area where these people, what they talking about, these people been the wealthy in the area where we call the so-called hood right now in Charleston. They've been wealthy in the 1700s, these people. And all these people, children store around right now, about the inside what we call hoods. And I can walk to the so-called cleaner areas, and these mansions line up across all around the hoods. We got these people who is the owners of it. They calling them mulatto because they already know that some people are dark skinned and some people is light skinned in America. But they ain't had no term light skinned person at this time. Essentially everybody who been Indian became Negro and became mulatto, and he just all today black. They ain't give a damn how light or dark. They just know why you black. So we use Moorish American because that is a wide range of complexions and peoples. as long as you pledge your allegiance and you live under these principles, and there millions and millions of Moorish Americans on this continent. They want to. But we're gonna see the kids of just Joseph the Reef. I don't think I got a picture of him, but I don't think I got it on the slide. But we'll see his child, one of his children. See what they mean with Indian. Yeah, right here. This is his son. And he supposedly had been a mulatto who married. He married he was an Indian who married a mulatto, allegedly. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna deal with still some of the South Carolina, New England Natique Indian Sarah Ferret, and we're gonna show how Sarah Ferret or Tarif could have been a Tarif B, but in the United States, no titles and nobility. That's the first thing. Take that off. And the names changed based off being in the English colony. They wouldn't want to put a name like Muhammad. So they would have changed that to something English. We call it anglicizing. So, in New England Natique Indian Sarah Fair Reed, in which there's a Reed Street right in the area where they're talking about on property in Charleston on Elizabeth Street in Ragboro. This neighborhood in Charleston became not only a microcosm for the slave-owning class of free people of color, but a harbor for remnant New England Indian families who owned family members as nominal slaves rather than lose them to other outside buyers. And what they mean by that is a lot of the slave game and stuff like that, but you gotta understand that being told by other people too, right? And it's gonna take a lot of studies for you to get your own perception of that. So, but the way I see it is, estates. Like right now, you can essentially say the so-called slaves is being managed by the states, being that the birth certificate with the name and all this, being managed. They ain't being managed in your family no more from you by your uncle. And this is 1865, we got the release of the slaves, but you can look at it as a transfer of wealth. We're dealing with employee and employer too. Also, when you're dealing with the slavery thing, you gotta understand, employee and employer terminology in this time. So we gotta deal with somebody who works for somebody. We can call it slave and servant. But it's up to you. I guess they leave it up to you to understand in your own mind what I mean. Kaiser, let me see. Clearly, there's a harbor for remnant New England Indian families who own family members, and all these Indian families, quote unquote, became free people of color in the South, in Charleston, on record. Sarah Ferret Reed was the daughter of Kaiser Ferret. Kaiser Ferret and his wife Naomi was counted among the Nautaw Indians in Massachusetts. Records show that 2 of their children migrated to South Carolina, Sarah and her sister, Patrice Ferris. And these people end up being the ones who been on the first census telling the United States that they've been free Moors, and they pledged their allegiance under the Kingdom of Morocco. Whoever that been at this time, doesn't matter. Just that's where you're on treaty. So, Patient's daughter, Susan Nicholas, filed an affidavit of Indian descent in Charleston on September 19, 1823. At the time the affidavit, she was 37 years old. She stated that she was born in Boston and was the daughter of a free Indian woman by the name of Patrice Ferris. And they're using the term Indian in this book, but we know the Treaty of Peace of Friendship is what she claiming. 1823, around that time. Or she could be claiming the treaties, the Delaware treaties with the Lenapes and stuff like that too. There were apparent movement of Indians from north to south and vice versa. Indians were constantly on the move, seeking refuge where they would feel safe to sustain a livelihood. It is also more likely than that Martha Pennington received news that her traditional land was being disputed and that the penitents were being removed and displaced. Okay? So most so-called African Americans, regardless of the English names that they hold, they got a story like this somewhere. And that's why I know what y'all used to just put the A and the B on it, because the evidence gonna take you, if you just study yourself, you're gonna find a lot of evidence. Just Charleston, because I study based off where I'm at, Ragboro. In the 20th century, Julia Woodbury, a South Carolina free person of color, told WPA interviewers that her mother repeated the story thousands of times, and I know y'all grandmama and moms tell you these same stories right here. And they're using the terms like Indian and Cherokee and stuff like that, especially in the Southeast. And you're dealing with a certain time period, you're dealing with a certain education. She was a Chi Indian, born on the sea beach and was kidnapped with her brother John by whites in a bay-covered wagon. We're dealing with the kidnapping of the nobles and on the American land, which led to the Treaty of Peace of Friendship, the kidnapping between the Moors and Christians. These stories can call it all kind of things, but that's essentially what it's been. After the Civil War, Julia continued to live near her master as a Negro, while her brother John, so basically she been dark skinned, so they're getting ready to change them people from Indians to Negro. While her brother John returned to the sea beach and resumed his life as an Indian. Newport, Rhode Island was not unfamiliar with the Sephardic community, and it was the so-called Moorish Jews who got kicked out of Spain 1492 or 1491. As early as 1654, Portuguese Jews, so-called Moorish Jews, established the first Jewish settlement. In 1658, 15 Jewish families arrived in Newport from Amsterdam. A couple of videos ago we dealt with the Amsterdam Moors, where Solomon Moses Sr. was born in 1734 and introduced Freemasonry, whose ancient beginnings are found among the Egypto-Moors. By 1732, and she mean by the Moors who carried this ancient Egyptian sciences into the modern world. By 1732, Spanish Portuguese Jews from England, which we could just say Andalusian, from England settled in Savannah. So they were from England. He settled in Savannah. At the same time, Oglethorpe began his colony with the aid of Tomakachi. We're going to see something about that. And Yamasee chief. And Oglethorpe, we're going to do some investigation into him. I believe that's George Washington. In my opinion. Or one of them, or one of that family. Those Hanoverians, Virginia and Moors. And we got the trustees. We got Oglethorpe, what is the young Moor. And I believe the Oglethorpe, that's the Georgia, and they're setting up Georgia as a state with the trustees. trustees of the state, introducing them to the people of the state, and dealing with a colony, saying that by the British more or whatever they want to say, Jewish, Andalusian Jewish from Britain, Oglethorpe. This is amalgamated Moses. Got for the timeline. And that's why I think he George Washington, because why he named the state Oglethorpe? Why he named it Georgia? His story is interesting too. If you look into it, you're gonna see, it make more sense that'd be George. The Oglethorpe dude and George Washington, they contemporaries in history. The Yamasee, also referred to as the Amogarikakan and the Amakaraise and or the Americario. So now we're getting to see where the word America really coming from. Almaricanos were listed among the 19 tribes as being of dark complexion, found widely scattered across the inhabitants of North and South America. They were supposed to have been immigrants from Africa prior to European discovery of America. See, that's what they need you to know. Dylan persisted in slave hunting about Beaufort, South Carolina in 1520. Having captured Francisco de Quicoda at about this time. And Francisco de Quicoda was one of the early Moors from South Carolina, the area of South Carolina, when it been called Quicoda. And there's a Quicoda Avenue, and now by so-called dark-skinned people live at. The entire avenue would be known as a hood. Quicoda. Alien referred to the Yamasee or Yamasee, also implied as the Amorga Khan and the Amakarasi and or the Americano, as Negroes being valuable laborers while the Indians were deemed worthless. Pat Spurlock Elder and Melangians examining an Appalachian legend. Melangians are Andalusians too. Wrote Englishmen deemed the people of North Africa was so dark as to be called black and historically used Moor and Negro interchangeably. And in this book they got the little references to nice little story. And South America. Levanta. Olmec. The Olmec capital. Pokemon and yin yang. And we're gonna look at some of these titles. Camarasa. Remember earlier we had the Cam. Amaruka. And that's India. And it's a map that showed that they call it the Atlan. And they got Gadirus would be Gades in Latin. They call it the Atlantis Islands. Atlantis Islands in the Ethiopic Sea.